My name is Aleksandra Jaskulska. I'm cross-cultural trainer at Cross-Cultural Intelligence, CCIQ. We are based in Warsaw, Poland, Central Europe. As you can see in the chat, during the last 15 minutes, we were discussing about our personalities and working styles. I characterize myself as an ant or a bee. Why? I need to admit that I have hardly no work and life balance, but I also admitted that sometimes I would like to be a koala. You know, koala can sleep up to 22 hours per day. But I'm quite sure that after a few days, I will be really tired of all this sleeping.
My name is Kamila Ludwikowska, and I'm cross-cultural trainer and coach. And I compared myself to parrot, colorful, talkative, but also very emotional. So it means that I'm getting nervous quite quickly. But also like parrot, I like observing others, and I also like when others take care of me. But most of all, like parrot, I wish to fly around the world and spend time in hot countries.
Welcome everyone on today's webinar, Virtual Team Building in Multinational Organizations. Webinar is aiming at helping you to understand the manager's connecting role in the virtual team, to identify virtual team needs and expectations, and to design virtual team building activities which will meet needs and expectations of your team. All three above will help you to build strong virtual teams.
Our webinar is divided into 4 parts. So in the first part, we will talk about managers' role in creating connections among remote workers. In the second part, we will tell you how to tailor team building activities to virtual team expectations, and also what is the importance of cross-cultural diversity. Part 3, that will be a pool of activities and different tools for successful virtual team building. And in part 4, we will present practical tips to create strong virtual team. The webinar will last 45 minutes, and last 15 minutes we plan for Q&A session, and here we will surprise you. Keep your questions to the end of our webinar. Are you sitting comfortable with good coffee or tea? So let's begin.
But before we'll go to first part, I would like to ask you a few questions. Are you part or virtual team? Could you please capture your challenges in the chat? I don't know if you're already ready to answer our questions, but it would be really great if you could share with us. So are you part of virtual team? You can just basically say yes, okay, yes, that's great. So could you share with us some challenges you are having? I guess everybody's today, I think, Jakub, you are right. It's hard not to be nowadays. So maybe, do you lead a virtual team? Could you share with us the challenges you are facing? I miss people. I have same feelings most of the time. Yes, definitely. We miss face-to-face interactions. Together with Camila, we prepared some useful tools, apps, and software, which will help you with these challenges, we hope.
Yeah.
So I believe you also interact with your clients and customers virtually. Am I right?
Yeah, travels and meetings, yes.
Yeah, I know there's a big struggle to replace the after hours, yeah, with virtual karaoke or other activities, let's say. Yes, we are all getting tired of screens. That's also true. Guys, thank you so much for sharing. I see that, yeah, most of us have very similar challenges as we miss face-to-face contact. We definitely miss traveling, contact with each other. So I know that we cannot replace everything by using online technology and tools, but still with Camila, we hope to give you help, we to assist you, yeah, that you will be able to overcome some of the challenges, problems. So guys, thank you so much one more time for sharing, and let's begin the first part.
Yes, because in the first part of our meeting today, we will discuss managers' role in creating connections among remote workers. As you know, we all know that since this pandemic began and due to also remote work, so employee efficiency has been in flux. And there are several reasons for that. So the first one is emotional exhaustion, stress, social isolation, lack of possibility to handle difficult emotions. It all lead to frustration and also increased stress. The second one, what we can observe, that is poor engagement. Why it happens? It happens because when members of virtual team, when they feel lonely and tired, so they tend to engage less and less and less. And then they focus just on the things that are absolutely necessary. Such attitude influences the overall effectiveness and also other employees. And one more, that is burnout. When there is no social factors, as you mentioned in chat also, such as informal relationships, some spontaneous interactions that we used to have at our work. So it starts to be very frustrating and tiring. And then difficult emotions may appear very often. And if we are not getting social support, so that might lead to that professional burnout. So what is the role of manager in preventing those different negative consequences with situations just like that pandemic? One of the key drivers is creating the sense of community. Sense of community through managers connecting role in virtual team. How manager can do that? For sure, he needs to take care of team members. He needs to make sure also that they have everything, I mean the team, that they need to complete their job successfully. He needs to focus much more on building trust because in virtual team, it is more challenging rather than in traditional in-office teams. But the real secret to unlock that potential, that benefits of virtual team is manager's commitment. And manager can support and build that sense of community, which I mentioned, by organizing exactly that team building activities. So why team building activities? Because when people, I mean remote workers, when they feel lonely, isolated, not supported, virtual team building activities can remind them about all that amazing people that they have around them. When also they feel that their excitement is sleeping, a virtual team building activity can help them to rekindle their passion that we are sure that they have. And when remote workers also want some more autonomy, so that team building activities can help them to build trust between managers and trust between peers. So to sum up, team building activities bring people together, support relationships, make the feeling that people are taken care of, and also make it possible to see each other in spite of the distance. Moreover, manager of virtual team, he needs to remember one more thing. Multinational organizations origin from different cultures. Manager has to be able to identify challenges of different cross-cultural differences in our work, because that will allow him to understand the dynamic of cross-cultural virtual team. So that's why in the next part of our webinar, we will present different activities, different tools that manager can implement to build exactly such strong virtual team.
But you know, before we'll jump into the pool of team building activities, let's start with understanding how to choose and start them. So I would like to ask you a few questions. First of all, why do you want to implement team building activities? Which competences do you want to develop? And last but not least, do you know what are the needs and expectations of your virtual team? Please give honest answer to yourself. I believe it's very important to admit what we don't know yet. There are three focuses you can consider. The first one, emotions. Second, creativity. And the third one, brain exercises. If your virtual team lacks space for open discussion while working remotely, or if your virtual team needs support and wants to share problems, or want to engage in casual activities but do not expect to be challenged, focus on emotions. Virtual team members can share their current experiences and changes in life. Thanks to focus on emotions, it will be possible to build a safe place where virtual team members can support and inspire each other. The process may include creating sense of community and sharing good practices. Then what will be the effect? So the effect may be positive work environment and something even more important, awareness that there is a space to talk about problems and challenges. And last but not least, mutual inspiration. But if your virtual team usually works under high pressure, needs space to have fun together, but doesn't want to compete against each other, focus on creativity. Creativity, thanks to this, you will create a place to unleash artistic potential and stimulate creative thinking. It will be a good place and space to relax and get to know each other better. What the processes may include? Definitely showing artistic talent and spending time together in relaxed and casual atmosphere. Now let's think about the effects. What effects may be? Definitely reducing the level of stress, inspiration for creative action, and initiating casual discussions. And the third focus, brain exercise. So if your virtual team want to break away from everyday work reality, by the way, who doesn't, or want to compete against each other, focus on brain activities. Brain activities that will be series of puzzles, intellectual tasks with different levels of difficulty. It will show how well virtual team members cope with the challenges under time pressure and while competing with other teams. So in this focus, process may include improving ability to share information and collect distributed data. Also, demonstrating good memory and ability to associate facts, logical thinking, and solving non-standard problems. What could be the effects? So the effects may be improving effective communication and cooperation, brain training, or my even more word, brain jogging, and developing out-of-the-box thinking. But now we need to ask ourselves a very important question. As we work in multinational organizations, is there only one way to design virtual team building activities which will meet needs and expectations of your team? As Camila mentioned a moment ago, cross-cultural diversity matters. Please remember that people from different cultures expect different actions taken by the manager. Developing cross-cultural awareness is one of the key competencies in supporting one team acting in multicultural environment. It is also very important to have a non-judgmental mindset, because thanks to this, you will be able to observe cultural differences without labeling good or bad, or right or wrong. Let me ask you again. Do you know what are the needs and expectations of your virtual team? I recommended 3 focuses you can consider: emotions, creativity, brain exercise. Let me underline again. Before you will choose one of them and design activities for your virtual team, first think about cultural diversity. First focus, emotions. So according to Gerd Hofstede, who was Dutch social psychologist who conducted one of the most comprehensive studies on how values in the workplace are influenced by culture. So according to him, there are indulgence and restraint cultures. Indulgence stands for a culture that allows relatively free gratification of basic and natural human drivers related to enjoying life or having fun. On the other hand, restraint stands for the culture that suppresses gratification of needs and regulates it by strict social norms. It means that people tend to have a strong control over their impulses. But you may think, okay, yeah, that sounds interesting, but why she's telling us this now? Why? If members of your virtual team are from restrained cultures, be prepared that they will be not eager to share their true emotions, at least at first. It may take time for them to be open and have sincere discussion. Members from indulgence culture, on the other hand, are very open and direct, and they have no problem with showing their feelings and emotions. So think about it if you decide to focus on emotions. Second focus, creativity. Do you think that everyone believes that it is a must to be creative at work? Yes or no? I think that definitely no. And again, I want to have a look at one of cultural dimension proposed by Gerd Hofstede. Let's have a look at power distance. People in culture exhibiting a high power distance accept a hierarchical order in which everybody has a place and which there is no need for further justification. On the other hand, in cultures with low power distance, people strive to equalize the distribution, demand justification of inequalities of power. And again, you may think, okay, yes, I'm getting what she's saying, but how it is connected to creativity? I'm going to tell you. In low power distant cultures, team members usually expect to be consulted. Their ideas, they are not really taken into consideration by their managers. Excuse me. I'm super sorry. I mixed it up. Totally my fault. I got too excited about asking you questions. So I'm very sorry. In low power distance cultures, yes, the team members expect to be consulted. So their ideas are taken into consideration. They can talk openly to their managers. And why? Because there is a high level of trust between managers and team members. As Camila mentioned, building the trust between managers and their team is crucial. On the other hand, in high power distant cultures, team members usually expect to be told what to do. What does it mean? It means that they are not really get used to speak up during meetings and share their ideas. Why? Because it could be seen as a lack of loyalty to manager. So don't be surprised if not everyone in your team will immediately go crazy about creativity. And the third focus, brain exercise. How well virtual team members cope with the challenges under time pressure and while competing with other teams? Do you like challenges and competition? In masculine cultures, there is a preference in society for achievement, heroism, assertiveness, and material reward for success. Masculine society at large are competitive. Failing is seen as a disaster. It's opposite in feminine cultures. There is a preference for cooperation, modesty, caring for the weak, and quality of life. Society at large is more consensus-oriented. Failing, that's just a minor accident. Think about it when choosing team building activities for your virtual team. In addition to all the focuses, you should think also about individualism and collectivism. Again, the cultural dimension prepared by Gerd Hofstede. People from individualistic cultures set up goals for themselves. Individual achievement is a priority. Trust is placed in individual decisions. On the other hand, collective, the group, they have strong duty to group and place trust in group decision. So you also need to remember about it once planning team building activities for your team. But you know, there is more. This is not only about cultural dimensions, but also about different styles of communications. It is crucial for you to get to know what is the communication style of each member of your virtual team. Direct, so low context, or maybe indirect, high context. When choosing team building activity for your virtual team, please remember, cross-cultural diversity matters.
Alexandra just presented the way how manager can respond to culturally diverse employees' expectations towards different team building activities by choosing the right focus. So you could hear about creativity, emotions, and also some different brain activities. But now for each of those expectations, what manager should do? So he should select the appropriate virtual team building activities, taking into consideration that focus and taking into consideration cross-cultural differences also. So in that part of the webinar, we will present you different virtual activities, games, and technology that might support virtual team building activities. What is important? That all the activities that we will present, these are ideas. So it means that you can easily switch up and change those ideas to fit your virtual team. So remember that be creative, that is something necessary. So let's start with the question, how to decide which team building activity is for your team and for actually particular meeting. So are there any criteria? Are there any rules that we should consider? Definitely, there are several things that you need to take into consideration. So the first one, how long is your virtual meeting? How much time you have? That is 1 hour, or maybe that is a full day meeting. What is the size of your group? Small group, like just 10 or 15 employees, or maybe this is a large group, like 80 plus employees. Also, when thinking about team building activities, have a look at your budget. And most of all, what effect do you want to get? Let's start with first activities, and these activities are often called icebreakers. And I'm sure that you might know this kind of activity from maybe different trainings that you already attended. Icebreakers are usually done at the beginning of the meeting, at the start of the meeting, but actually they can be conducted also after some module, after the lunch break, before the lunch break, during the module, whenever you want. And it looks exactly same in case of virtual meetings. But here, it is even more important because building connections in virtual team is much more challenging. There are different reasons to use virtual icebreakers because that is something that we will talk now. So inspire feelings, empathy, stimulate skills acquisition, also learning, and also encourage bonding and community cohesion. So all depends on the objective of your meeting. Now, how such activities like icebreakers, virtual icebreakers, can help you to increase efficiency of virtual meeting, because that is what we want to achieve, efficiency of our employees. Because these activities help establish rapport between employees. Also, they increase of course, interaction between people. And thanks to that, employees feel simply more comfortable and they are willing to speak up. All these conditions are necessary for efficiency. So let me give you a few examples. The first group of different virtual icebreakers, that is called critical thinking or riddle icebreakers, riddle exercises. These activities basically refer to using so-called lateral question, riddle, or brain teaser as icebreaker. That is really a very easy way to engage your employees, and I will give you some examples, and that might be used as a start of some group dialogue. This can be done with a group of any size, and you will see that is just a matter of adjusting to the size of your group. But also, people will know each other better. In smaller group, you can of course interact with each person separately. But for larger groups, you can consider simply breaking them out into different rooms, groups, teams. That will of course encourage some friendly competition, because that is for what team building activities are also, and increase communication between them. Now just to give you the explanation, what is that? So the riddle, that is the statement. It might be statement, it might be question, it might be phrase, and it has something like double meaning. This is presented as a puzzle that has to be solved. The second one, that lateral thinking. So lateral thinking was coined by Edward de Bono. And I'm sure that maybe you have heard about him because he's the author of the book, 6 Thinking Heads, that colorful thinking heads. So it describes a kind of out-of-the-box reasoning, critical analysis of different scenarios. And that is just, that is something more than just typical step-by-step logical thinking to solve. It's something about rejecting the status quo of ideas, and it's something about starting totally new way of looking into the problem. So lateral thinking is related to creative problem solving and also critical thinking, how it is done. So the trick with lateral question or riddle or brain teasers is that they have to be challenging. But one more thing, they have to be solvable. So it means that employees need to find finally the answer that we want. But of course, the process, how they are going to the answer is also important. So I will give you a few examples of lateral thinking questions. If you were alone in dark cabin with only one match and a lamp, fireplace, and a candle to choose from, which would you light first? Another one. Someone falls out of a 30-story building, but still lives. With luck and their landing pad not being factors, how could they have survived the fall? Another one. There are a dozen eggs in carton. 12 people each, they take a single egg, but there is still one egg left in the carton. How it is possible? And maybe one more. There are 10 birds perched on the fence. A farmer aims his rifle and shoots one. How many birds are left? To answer these questions, you need to go out of the box. How to conduct such activities? You can ask this kind of lateral thinking question to the group at completely any time of the meeting. So at the beginning, when you simply want to energize them, when you want to wake them up, or simply when you want to check whether they are still attentive. It takes just about, 2 minutes per person to answer, assuming that they will go to the answer. You can also use some technology to collect ideas. Everyone will share the answer on the platform. It might be something like monday.com or idea boards. At the end, you need to also spend some time, some minutes, to discuss the differences in answers. Now, let me give you a few examples of that riddle or brain teaser. So I said that statements or that phrases. So I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. Who am I? That riddle, which I just said, relies on tricking you into thinking about ears and mouth. But actually the hint is about wind, to encourage you to think broadly. I hope that you already know the answer. You measure my life in hours and I serve you by expiring. I'm quick when I'm thin and I'm slow when I'm fat. The wind is my enemy. Here in that riddle, you can get that hints from different angles. But the biggest hint is at the end of that. It's coming with that wind. I'm curious if you already know the answer. You can find more such riddle icebreakers on Reader's Digest. That is one of the website with resources for this kind of virtual icebreaker riddles. One more group of different icebreakers. These are icebreakers, simply questions. Do you remember that question we addressed to you in the waiting room before we start our webinar? So something like compare yourself to animal. This kind of icebreaker question is really perfect because it gets people talking, sharing information, collaborating, and it really doesn't cost you a lot. So some examples. First, which we thought, this is about men. People love sharing memes. I'm sure that you have your favorite also. You can ask your team, for example, what meme made you laugh out loud recently? And then people are sharing, for example, their memes. So why do we love that? Because laughter is contagious. Laughter is really contagious. So it means that everybody will laugh. And you will have really a team which will be laughing and they will be really in a good mood. Another one, what would your superhero costume look like? Why personally I like that because I'm a visual, so I like to visualize people, what they are doing and who they are. So it helps you to visualize coworkers who are, I don't know, wearing some crazy clothes or doing some crazy things. And one more that is maybe simple, but there is a hidden ground behind that. So what is the first thing you thought about when you woke up this morning? You can try that question. You will be really surprised what people are answering. That question is really good for so-called self-reflection. So what really people are thinking that they are doing just after they will wake up. And one more before we will go to some games. So I will tell you about short game. Usually to organize virtual icebreaker short game, you need to do something in advance. But you remember commitment. So if we want to be involved, we need to do that. Do you know the bingo game? I will present you virtual in meeting bingo game. That game is perfect if you need an icebreaker. That can also be a kind of contest. So by doing bingo, you can see how your employees are paying attention and how they are staying engaged. So how it is done? All you need to do is to prepare bingo cards just ahead of the meeting. For example, that might be something, what is happening during virtual meeting? I'm sure that you know what may happen. So you can create some ideas, pet in the background, dog barking in the background, some sound in the background, a person there, or someone loses connection or something like that. So before the meeting, you are just simply sending to your employees these bingo cards and you are not saying anything, just that you will explain during the meeting. And when your meeting will start, you need to just ask your employees to have their bingo cards ready. And you need to explain them that once the meeting goes on, they should simply mark off whenever that situation on their card will happen. So there is a dog, they need to mark. And the winner is the person who will simply get 5 in a row and will type bingo in the chat. And that's all of the game.
Mila shared with you some very interesting ideas how to build your team stronger. Personally, I like the most this about bingo. We tried it a few times. It's really great, especially because we have both dogs, yeah, and they can bark anytime, even in more unexpected situations. But now let's have a look at online activities and some games for virtual team building. I have a few propositions for you. Some of the online activities and games I prepared for you, you can organize for free, but for others, you will have to have some budget. So let's start with the first one. I called it Team Espresso. So it is a series of short online meetings adapted to team-specific needs. As we know now, unfortunately, we have no chance to have a real coffee together. So then let's chat and feel some sense of unity. Next one, you can think about organizing movie nights. Yeah? But as we work you, and also we work in multinational organizations. We know that time zones are challenging, but in this case, it may bring even more fun. So still you can watch a movie together. It may be in afternoon or midnight for someone who is a member of your team, but still you can have a lot of fun. You can also think about well-being. There are plenty of online interactive activities which focuses on employees' well-being, excuse me, such as home yoga, everyday mindfulness, or relaxation. Also very interesting activity, as I believe, is team coaching. So online meeting led by experienced facilitator for teams that are facing some specific challenges and they need support in the process of planning and generating solutions. But you can think also about the games which you used to play in the office or outdoors, but now they are adopted to online mode. I don't know if you have ever played the deserted island scenario. I played it a few times, always had a lot of fun. It's for free. Yeah, the time you can decide for 20 minutes to up to 1 hour. I will tell you very briefly what it's about. So just after joining the online meeting, you can give everyone a very bad news. So they have been stranded on the deserted island. But counter it with the good news. Everyone get to choose 3 items from a handy list of. You prepare the list, and believe me, the longer the list, then more fun there will be. So each person gets few minutes to select 3 items. While resuming the meeting, everyone have to share which items they decided to pick up and explain why. Also allow time for each virtual team member to answer questions about their selections. I can assure you that at the end of this virtual meeting, everyone will find themselves more open to new ideas and perspectives. The other activity you can think about is escape room. Probably some of you visited escape room at least once in your life. I personally love going to escape rooms. I also tried already to do it online. Yes, you can go to escape room online. You just need to choose an adventure. You can find treasure, take part in a heist, escape prison. It all depends on you. The amazing thing is that if your team is really willing to escape the escape room, they have to work together and, of course, communicate virtually. What else you can organize for your virtual team members? You can think about virtual vacations. You can find this kind of offers online. Virtual karaoke party. I tried it 2 times, lots of fun. Virtual graffiti workshop, something new. I never tried, but I heard from my colleagues it's really good. And also one of my favorites, virtual stand-up comedy. Camilo, jesteś wymutowana.
Yes, I would like to go to karaoke party again.
Karaoke party was great.
Yes, as you could see, virtual team buildings can be actually everything, anything that brings your remote teams and remote workers together, just like simply they were working together in an office. But what is the conclusion of all the things that we just said? That all depends on managers' commitment and creativity. There are really plenty of ready activities. You can simply go and you can buy them. But to be honest, and the truth is that if the activity is available, so it means that people might be familiar with that. So if you want to be creative, and if you will create activity on your own, then it definitely will be unique. Of course, maybe they will not be so perfectly and super graphically designed, but definitely your team will see that and they will feel that, yes, my manager is committed. My manager really takes care of us. So nowadays, because of many employees are working remotely, so that is even much more important than ever to foster that sense of community. And this is how we are doing that through team building. So virtual team building activities, when are well done, they help building trust, meaningful connections, and ensure that the whole team feels valued. This in turn can strengthen relationship and boost engagement. So the things that we really want to achieve.
And now the last part with presenting tools. So I'd like to tell you a bit more about tools, apps, and software that you can choose while working in virtual teams. And of course, you can use these tools during team building activities. We decided to divide those tools, apps, and software in few categories. Some of them are more or less related to team building activities. So the first one, does the project management. You can think, for example, about Altasian. Altasian offers Trello and Jira. They are both tools which help to organize projects, manage them. The other group will be live quizzes or pool quiz platforms, however you want to call them. There are plenty of them, just to name few. You can think about Mentimeter or Kahoot, Klaxon, Slido, Socrative. Basically, each app has its own benefits and specialties. It really depends on you which one you want to choose because it needs to fit your objectives. Then the third group, organizing a virtual workspace. You can think about Monday.com, which is, as you probably know, work operating system that powers teams to run projects and workflows with confidence. Yeah. And definitely they will help to connect collaboration and stop doing manual groundwork. And I'm sure that Monday.com will help you help your teamwork click. The fourth group of these tools, apps, and softwares, definitely video conferencing platforms, such as the one we are using today, Zoom. As you know, there are so many others. The fifth group, a messaging platform. You may think about Slack. Slack, which helps you to have instant dialogue with people on your team. And Slack is perfect for small questions and feedback that shouldn't take more than a few seconds. So you can share ideas and get instant answers. So I believe it's really cool. Also, I believe it is important to use tools, apps, and software to show appreciation to members of your virtual team. So you can think about Kazoo. It's a great platform, employee experience platform, or about VidHack. Again, of course, online platform. You can create a video for your team members. And about giving feedback, to tell you the truth, my favorite tool is 15Five. It offers a management solution dedicated to creating highly engaged and professionally fulfilled workforces. So it helps you to get the best and give and get the best feedback possible because your employees can control on their feedback. So individuals, they can specify what type of feedback they would like to receive, positive, constructive, or both. So please remember, the sky is the limit. You can look for many more tools, apps, and softwares. But please remember, when deciding which to choose, you need to think about the needs and expectation of your virtual team. And please do not forget about cross-cultural diversity.
And in the last part of our meeting, I will present you just exactly 5 practical tips to create strong virtual team after all what you have heard from us today. So tip number 1, create strong connections. We know that teamwork is about building strong personal connections and relationships. That the more people know each other, the better they can collaborate. And no matter such logistic challenges like coordinating schedules across different time zones, technology that of course can limit, and we know that, personal connections. And And of course, nonverbal communication, which is limited. So manager needs to commit and create that connections. Tip number 2, make your virtual team members visible. But being visible is not just about using video. Making people visible is about encouraging them to participation. So let them speak and let them share their thoughts. Tip number 3, set clear norms and clarify tasks. So make sure that everybody knows what to expect from each other. Ask them when they would like to have the meeting. Don't assume, just find a solution that will fit to most of them. Establish communication protocols and involve your team. Tip number 4, develop cross-cultural awareness. So virtual teams often are cross-cultural teams, as you already heard. So that magnifies the communication challenges, especially when they think they are speaking the same language, but actually they are not. And finally, tip number 5, don't forget the one-to-one interaction. So leaders of one-to-one interactions and with their teams. So that is the fundamental part of any teamwork. So make these interactions a regular part of the virtual team rhythm. So use them, but not just to check the status, to provide feedback, but to keep people connected to the vision. So connections, clarity, visibility, cross-cultural awareness, and relationships. These 5 practical tips, together with manager's commitment, will definitely help you to create strong virtual team.